Welcome to the APTA Travel Trends 2016 report. Now, we picked 12 destinations that we see for various reasons. It could be there's a new hotel opening, some new routes, a new attraction, or simply that the country's time has come. We have Abu Dhabi. Now, for the last few years, they've been anticipating opening a branch of the Louvre, and that will be happening in 2016. It's also home to some of the most iconic 21st century state-of-the-art hotels on the planet. Canada has always had very close ties with the UK, and in 2016 it's going to be easy to get to with an airline called WestJet, a no-frills airline, offering services. And the country itself has spectacular cities, often voted some of the best in the world to live in, amazing countryside, and certainly somewhere that if you're going to spend some time, it's somewhere you'll want to go back to more than once. Now, China is a massive country, and many people go to traditional favourites such as Beijing, Shanghai, and to go and see the pandas. But we anticipate that in 2016, people were heading north to a place called the Silk Road. It's a very dramatic part of the country, it has fascinating cities. Next, France. France obviously is a perennial favourite for us, but in 2016 it'll be hosting the Euro 2016 football championships, and it's a good way to tour the country because they've done their best to ensure that cities all around the country, from Lille in the north to Marseille and Nice in the south, will be hosting football fans, so it gives you a good snapshot of this beautiful country. Next, Hawaii. In 2016 it will be the 75th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, but Hawaii itself is probably one of the most idyllic spots on the planet. Incredibly beautiful islands, great food, very welcoming people. Iceland used to be considered quite an expensive destination, but after the economic problems they had following the banking crisis, prices came down drastically, so it's much more affordable than it used to be. Very much a country of fire and ice, spectacular geysers, and in particular I recommend the Blue Lagoon. And if you go there over the winter, go and check out the Northern Lights, probably the most spectacular light show that nature offers for free. Next, a slightly unusual destination, Iran. Now, Iran has for many years been pretty much a no-go zone in terms of Foreign Office advice, but we have had massively improved relations with the country, so now it's actually a destination we would recommend you travel to as part of an organised group, because there still are certain political issues, but it's a fascinating place, the people are incredibly welcoming, the countryside is lovely, and it also has a history going back thousands of years. It used to be called Persia, and Persepolis in particular is well worth visiting. Next, Naples in southern Italy. Now, Naples has always been the gateway to some of the most spectacular parts of the country, the Amalfi Coast, the islands of Capri and Ischia, but the city itself is well worth visiting. There's been a lot of money invested in cleaning the place up, and if you use it as a base to visit also Apulia, a bit further south, a lovely part of the country, and its capital Lecce is a Baroque gem. Next, Peru, probably the most popular destination in South America, but it's going to be even more so in 2016, we predict. It's very much a fashionable destination at the moment. The food is ceviche and chocolate-based stews are pretty delicious. And if you do go, don't just visit Machu Picchu, probably the most famous destination, but also go to Nazca. Check out the other Inca sites in the country. There are plenty more to see. Next, Poland. For the first time in 2015, it entered the top 10 most visited European destinations for UK holidaymakers. It's partly, of course, because of the amount of Poles that live in the UK going home, but also we're seeing more and more people using those routes to visit the country. It's very beautiful. It has cities such as Krakow and Gdansk and Warsaw, which are all well worth visiting, but also has very much unspoilt countryside. Next, Australia, but in particular, Queensland. Now, we've often asked people if money were no object, where would you visit, and Australia tops the list. But Queensland is a part of the country which we don't tend to go to in quite so large numbers, but it will certainly hit the spotlight in 2016. Because David Attenborough is doing a 3-part series on the Great Barrier Reef. And not just that, along the reef there are some very beautiful islands called the Whitsundays, which are home to boutique hotels and amazing wildlife, so well worth a visit. Now lastly, another island, Sri Lanka. There's very close ties with the UK, but it's fringed by spectacular, beautiful palm-fringed beaches. The cities are bustling and welcoming. The people are charming. And it's also the one part of this part of the world which actually has a Buddhist heritage, so it also has some very restful, beautiful temples which are well worth a visit. So some of the few suggestions of 12 countries you may not have visited before, but certainly should think about for 2016.